you guys know who I'm referring to in that opening. I can only hope to have as many subscribers as she does someday, so we will see. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a really great day. It is, what's today's date? September 24th, 2018, and it's super exciting today because as I'm filming this on a Monday, that means we are exactly 1 week away from October. Crazy, I know. If you don't know me, you probably don't know that I love Halloween, and my family, we probably celebrate Halloween more than we do Christmas. It's basically almost like Christmas Day when it's Halloween Day here with my family. So I'm just so freaking excited. I have some huge plans for the month of October as far as this channel goes, and different series and role plays and different kinds of things that I want to do. I absolutely can't wait. If there's anything that you guys want to see for the month of October as far as true crime cases for me to cover, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will be sure to add them to my list. As I say all the time, you know, I get tons of case suggestions here on this channel, and sometimes it's difficult for me to keep up with them because they do tend to get lost in the comments section. So if I have not covered your case already, please just let me know, suggest it in the comments again, reach out to me in a DM. You can follow me on social media, let me know there. All of my social media handles should be in the description box down below. So with that said, I would like to again just thank you guys so much for all of the support for this channel. I have over 600 subscribers, and I just absolutely cannot wait to see what becomes of this channel, because you know, it originally started as just something for me to do in my free time after I graduated college, and it has just become something so much bigger, and it's just something that I absolutely love doing. I love filming videos, I love doing the research, and I love just chatting with you guys and getting to know all of my subscribers. So thank you so much for all of the support, for all of the love and all of the encouragement as I've been dealing with just different life things that I've kind of talked about on this channel, and just thank you so much. I highly appreciate it more than you will ever know. So now that I've said that, I would like to go ahead and begin this case today, because it is a case I am so excited to cover. It is a case that has been requested by you guys over and over and over, and I'm finally getting the time to sit down and do it today. The people that I live with are on a trip for the day. They're out of town, they're out of state, and there's nobody who's going to mess this up and be super loud, which rarely ever happens. So I am so ready to get started. Just keep in mind, if you do not like ASMR and true crime mixed together, feel free to exit out of this video. It is, you know, no harm against me. There are plenty of ASMR artists to watch out there, and yeah, so there's just tons of content. If you're not into this kind of stuff, then that does not bother me at all. If you are still with me and you are ready to jump into this truly disturbing, terrifying, and sad case, then go ahead and keep watching. So this case that I'm going to be covering today is a case that I am quite familiar with. I have known about it for a while. I have watched, you know, different true crime TV shows about this case, and it is just one of the most heartbreaking, saddest cases I think I've ever heard of. And it's just incredibly disturbing, and that is the case of the Petit family murders. So our story begins in the small, idyllic town of Cheshire, Connecticut. Now, if you are not familiar with Cheshire, you may not know that it is pretty well known in the state of Connecticut. It's pretty close to New Haven, if you're familiar with that. And it is basically known for being a place where the wealthy, rich people of Connecticut live. And that was definitely the case for the Petit family, which consisted of William Petit and his wife Jennifer Hawk Petit, as well as their two daughters, Haley and Michaela. So Jennifer Hawk Petit was a nurse and co-director of the health center at Cheshire Academy, which was a private boarding school in Connecticut. She met her future husband, William Petit, in 1985 while on pediatric rotation at the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, when he was a third-year medical student at the University of Pittsburgh, and she was working as a nurse. So the couple fell in love very fast and began dating and eventually got married. Shortly after they were married, they had their first child, their first daughter, whom they loved very much, and like I said, her name was Haley. She was born on October 15th, 1989. So a few years later, on November 17th, 1995, Jennifer Hawk Petit would give birth to her second daughter, and her name was Michaela. So the family was doing very well. As they got older and raised their two daughters, they were basically the spitting image of the perfect American family. It was kind of like a storybook fairy tale come true, and just everything was going right. They had great jobs. The girls were doing very well in school. Haley had graduated from Miss Porter's school and had gotten into Dartmouth College, and she was just very much looking forward to start her new chapter in her life, being in college. And Michaela was attending the Chase Collegiate School. At this time, Jennifer was still working as a nurse, while her husband was working as an endocrinologist. So everything was just going so well, was going so perfectly, until the fateful day of July 23rd, 2007. So before we get into what actually happened on July 23rd, we have to go back a few hours to the day before, on July 22nd, 2007. So on this day, it was a Sunday. It was just like any other day. Jennifer and Michaela had and also Michaela was 11 years old at the time, which is important to mention, as you will see later in this case. But they had went to a local grocery store. It was about to be her mother's birthday, and Michaela just really wanted to make her mother a special meal. She wanted to cook for her, so they had gone out to the grocery store together to purchase these groceries. However, little did they know that there would be two men who happened to be at the grocery store at the same time who would follow them home. So Michaela and Jennifer were actually seen on CCTV footage just doing the shopping. Everything seemed normal. However, the two men who were named Stephen Hayes and Joshua Komoskiewski, sorry, it's a really difficult last name to pronounce, they had seen Jennifer and her daughter shopping and decided that something about them, that they were going to follow them home, like I said. So shortly after the two men saw Jennifer and Michaela, Stephen Hayes sent a text message to Joshua reading, quote, "I'm chomping at the bit to get started. Need a margarita soon." Stephen then texted, "We still on?" Joshua replied, "Yes." Stephen's next text asked, "Soon?" To which Joshua replied, "I'm putting the kid to bed. Hold your horses." Stephen then wrote back, "Dude, the horses want to get loose. LOL." So a couple hours later, we would get to the tragic day on the early hours of July 23rd, 2007, when Joshua and Stephen would make the terrible decision to enter the Petit family home. So when they arrived, they found William Petit sleeping on a couch on the porch, and Joshua then decided to strike William in the head with a baseball bat that they had found in the yard, and would then tie him up at gunpoint in the basement of the house. When they got inside the house, they realized that Jennifer and her two daughters were there, and they would tie Jennifer, Michaela, and Haley up and lock them in their respective bedrooms alone. So, a gas station video surveillance actually saw Stephen purchasing $10 worth of gasoline in 2 cans he had taken from the Petit family home. After returning to the house and unloading the gas, he took Jennifer to the bank. The prosecution later claimed that this was evidence of premeditated murder. Stephen convinced Jennifer to withdraw $15,000 from her line of credit when the bank opened that morning. Bank surveillance cameras captured the transaction, which shows Jennifer Hawk Petit on the morning of July 23, 2007, as she informed the teller of her situation. The bank manager then called 911 and reported the details to the police while Jennifer was still in with the teller. The manager reported to the 911 dispatcher in real time as Jennifer left the bank and was picked up by Stephen, describing his clothing as he drove away with her. The manager stated that Jennifer Hawk Petit had indicated the assailants were, quote, being nice, and she believed that they had only wanted money. And the idea that, she was a very nice woman and she kind of only saw the best in people, and despite the situation, she believed that they were not going to be harmed, that Stephen and Joshua were acting strangely relatively nice, and she was believing them, and she believed that if she went to the bank with these two men, that if they got what they wanted, then they would leave the home and leave them alone so they would be safe. And this would turn out to be the opposite of what would happen, unfortunately. So the Cheshire police response to the bank's report began with assessing the situation and setting up a vehicle perimeter without revealing their presence. The police remained outside for more than half an hour, taking these preliminary measures while the assailants were raping and murdering the girls and Jennifer inside the house. The police dawdled at the scene and made no effort to make the assailants aware of their presence, something that they would be highly criticized for after the crime occurred. So now I'm going to go into more graphic detail of what happened. If you do not want to hear these really sad things of what happened to the girls and their mother, please skip ahead probably about a minute, and you won't have to be listening to that. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. So during this time, Stephen and Joshua escalated the aggravated nature of their crimes. Joshua actually would rape 11-year-old Michaela in her bed. And during this time, Joshua also photographed the sexual assault of the girl on his phone, which is even more disturbing. And then he allegedly provoked Stephen into raping Jennifer. While Stephen was raping her on the floor of the living room, Joshua entered the room and announced that William Petit had escaped. Stephen then strangled Jennifer and doused her lifeless body in parts of the house, including the daughters' rooms, with gasoline. While tied to their beds, both daughters were doused with gasoline and had their heads covered with pillowcases. A fire was then started, and Joshua and Stephen fled the scene. Haley and Michaela would both die of smoke inhalation. So William Petit had been able to free himself, escape his confines, and call a neighbor for help. The neighbor indicated that he did not recognize Petit due to the severity of his injuries, which is, if you think about it, very sad. In court testimony, William Petit stated that he felt a jolt of adrenaline coupled with a need to escape upon hearing one of the perpetrators say, "Don't worry, it's all going to be over in a couple of minutes." Petit then told the jury, quote, "I thought it's now or never because in my mind at that moment, I thought they were going to shoot all of us." Joshua and Stephen fled the scene using the Petit family car. They were immediately spotted by police surveillance, pursued, and arrested 1 block away. The whole invasion lasted around 7 hours. The scenario was revealed in a confession by Hayes just after the killings. Detectives testified that Hayes smelled strongly of gasoline throughout the interrogation. Each perpetrator blamed or implicated the other as the mastermind of the driving force behind the spree. There were even attempts to blame William Petit as an accomplice. Joshua later kept a diary entered into evidence in which he chose to call Petit a coward and claimed that he could have stopped the murders if he wanted to. So after this awful crime in which his both of his daughters and his wife were murdered. William Petit did not return to his medical practice, and since the murders, he still has not to this day. He stated that this was in part due to his desire to be active in the foundation set up to honor the memory of his deceased family. He contemplated running for Congress as a Republican, but later decided against it. In the following election cycle, he successfully campaigned for the Connecticut General Assembly and now serves as a state representative. Alright, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the perpetrators, just because I think it is a bit interesting just to learn about the people that committed these crimes. So Stephen J. Hayes was found guilty on 16 of 17 counts related to the home invasion murders on October 5th, 2010. On November 8th, 2010, the jury returned with a recommendation for him to be executed. He was formally sentenced to death by Superior Court Judge John C. Blue on December 2nd, 2010. Hayes is an inmate of the Connecticut Department of Correction. His criminal history shows him sentenced for his first offense at the age of only 16 years old, subsequent to sentencing for the Petit murders, and up until August 16th, 2016. He was incarcerated in the Northern Correctional Institution, which houses the state's death row for men, in Somers, Connecticut. The method of execution employed by Connecticut was lethal injection, and the state execution chamber was located in the Osborne Correctional Institute in Somers. This sentence became an automatic life sentence when Connecticut abolished the death penalty in 2015. So Joshua A. Komarszewski was Hayes' co-conspirator in the home invasion and murders of the daughters and wife in the Petit family murders. He was born in 1980 to a 16-year-old girl impregnated by a 20-year-old mechanic and was then adopted by a man named Benedict Komarszewski, the son of theatrical director Theodore Komarszewski and dancer Ernestine Stadell, and his wife Jude. He remained incarcerated at the Walker Reception Center in lieu of a $15 million bond until his conviction. His trial began on September 19th, 2011, and on October 13th, 2011, he was convicted on all 17 counts. On December 9th, 2011, the jury recommended the death penalty. On January 27, 2012, Judge John Blue sentenced Komarszewski to death by lethal injection. His sentence also became an automatic life sentence when Connecticut abolished the death penalty. As of August 16, 2016, both Hayes and Komarszewski were transferred to separate prison facilities in Pennsylvania to serve their sentences. According to Connecticut state prison officials, the transfer was done as part of an interstate corrections compact due to reasons pertaining to safety and security. So now we're going to get into what happened at the trial. So the jury in Hayes' case was composed of 7 women and 5 men. Following the completion of the trial, the jury deliberated for about 4 hours to reach its guilty verdicts. The sentencing phase of the trial began on October 18, 2010, during which the jurors had to decide if Hayes should be executed or imprisoned for life. The second day of these deliberations began on November 6, 2010. Attorney Thomas Ullman told the jury that a sentence of life in prison would be the harshest possible punishment for client Hayes because he was so tormented by his crimes and would be isolated in prison. Life in prison without the possibility of release is the harshest penalty, Ullman said. It is a fate worse than death. If you want to end this misery, put him to death, he added. If you want him to suffer and carry that burden forever, the guilt, shame, and humiliation sentenced him to life without the possibility of release. So for the first time in state history, the Connecticut State Judicial Branch offered post-traumatic stress assistance to jurors during the trial of the Petit family murders, who served for 2 months on the triple murder trial because they had been required to look at disturbing images and hear grisly testimony. On December 2nd, 2010, Hayes apologized for the pain and suffering he had caused the Petit family and added that, "Death for me will be a welcome relief, and I hope it will bring some peace and comfort to those I have hurt so much." Judge John Blue formally imposed 6 death sentences, 1 for each of the capital charges. Blue then added a sentence of 106 years for the other crimes Hayes committed during the home invasion, including kidnapping, burglary, and assault, before finishing with, quote, "This is a terrible sentence, but is in truth a sentence you wrote for yourself in flames. May God have mercy on your soul." The judge also gave Hayes an official execution date of May 27, 2011. Blue said that this date was a formality because if Hayes repealed the case, his execution could be delayed for decades. His death sentence became a life sentence in August 2015, like I said, due to Connecticut abolishing the death penalty. In the aftermath of these crimes, an employee of the Chase Collegiate School, John Carpenter, ran the New York City Marathon and raised $8,554 for the Miles for Michaela campaign, which was a scholarship benefit. The same year, William Petit established the Michaela Rose Petit 14 Scholarship Fund of the Chase Collegiate School. He also established the Haley's Hope and Michaela's Miracle MS Memorial Fund. So that is pretty much it for what I have regarding this case. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it is a very sad case, and I can only hope that William Petit, as the lone survivor of this tragic case, has found some sort of peace with what happened. And I'm really happy that those girls and their mother were brought to justice. So if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell so you can get notifications of when my videos come out. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.